Good morning. We're getting a little bit of a slow start this morning. And my computer ran out of juice, so it's running a little slow. I hope you're seeing us. And welcome to the Core Connection. I'm Mira Rubin, here with you on Enlightened World Network. And I don't know if this is actually streaming. It says it is. I think we're good. Okay, so welcome, welcome, welcome. It's great to be here with you as always. And today's topic is fear of disappearing. I've had so many conversations with clients around making massive shifts of being that they're afraid may annihilate them, afraid of who they'll be on the other side. And so today we get to talk about what it looks like to be on the other side of something that has identified us. Rosalind, thank you so much. Sound is good, video's a bit lagging, but still okay. Good, good, good. Thank you for that feedback because it's lagging on my side as well. I only have like 5% charge. Maybe as we proceed, it'll get better. Anyway, before we get started, let's take a minute or two to just settle in and do our morning routine here. Take a deep breath in through your nose and hold it. And imagine clean, crisp oxygen flooding your lungs, flowing into your bloodstream, nourishing every cell, every organ. And as you exhale, exhale any tension, any stress, negativity, fatigue. And now let's take another deep breath in through your nose and hold it. And this time, imagine brilliant bright light, lighting you up from the inside out, electrifying and energizing every electron, every molecule, illuminating your cells, and creating a glow of brilliant bright light that goes from within you to the outside world. And now let's just gently press our palms together and just softly rub your fingers against your palms to feel that delicious sensation, that physicalness, that deliciousness of being here in the physical form, and bring yourselves present right here, right now. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So, I think this is a juicy topic because I have on many occasions had clients show up to a session knowing that we were going to work on releasing a long held pattern and actually being terrified of what might be on the other side, who they would be if they weren't defined by this pattern that they identified with so strongly through their lives. And I'm wondering what patterns you may see for yourself in your life that you identify with, that you don't know who you would be without that aspect of yourself, even if that aspect of yourself is one that causes you deep pain. So perhaps there is an identity as a victim, the experience of being the victim. And we've talked about identities before. We talked about, for instance, being a survivor. So many people have survived heinous things, and challenges with dis-ease, cancer, for example, cancer survivors. People identify with that role because they've been through something that other people who've been through it can relate to. So there's maybe a sense of community, a sense of identity, a sense of purpose associated with that identity. And when we release our attachment to these identities, the question then becomes, who are we, or who will we be in facing it? And what occurs to me is that there's this notion that if I let go of this idea of who I am, then will I disappear? What will life look like? How will I function? Uh, and I had this conversation with a client recently. I've had this conversation with multiple clients, but what it brings to mind for me is the Zen. I think it's a Zen I don't even know that it's a koan, but it's a saying: before enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. After enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. And so, what does that mean? What does it really mean? It means that it may look like our lives are the same after enlightenment, after we have transcended our attachment to our identities and our ego and our beliefs and our history. And as we transcend that, the thought is that, I just might sit on a bench for a year and do nothing. And actually, I don't know if you've read uh, the book by Eckhart Tolle, where he describes his enlightenment, and I believe he kind of did sit on a bench for a year. It might not have been a year. I don't remember how long it was, but he just sort of observed life and allowed himself to drink it in, and the wonder and awe of it. And but the thing is that if you know of Eckhart Tolle, you know that he's no longer sitting on a bench. He was there in the emptiness. Good morning, Robert. Good morning. Welcome great to have you here. Um, he was sitting in the emptiness. And the emptiness, this is the paradox, is that there's initially, in my experience with clients, is that um, in releasing these identities, initially there's terror around releasing it because there's the fear of annihilation or obliteration. And then as people release these identities, then there's a deep emptiness and maybe even fear or disorientation because the persona that they held previously is no longer dominating their perception and their experience. And so then what happens in that sitting? Good morning, Tammy. Welcome, welcome. In that sitting, in that being present to the emptiness, what begins to arise is the light that you are, the fullness that you are, the soul that you are starts to emerge, the voice of your spirit and soul. Good morning, Lisa. Welcome. Great to have you here. So then becomes this new, it's kind of like trying on a new skin, maybe in certain ways, where everything is new and unfamiliar, and there's a way then of navigating through that space. And ultimately, before enlightenment, maybe what you did in life was chop wood and carry water to take care of your needs. Maybe you live in a cabin out in the woods somewhere. And so you're heating your cabin with wood and you don't have running water. So you're chopping wood and carrying water. And then after enlightenment, you still have the same needs. You still need to provide for the heat and you still need to provide for the water. So you're still chopping wood and carrying water. And it may look the same from the outside, but it is profoundly transformed on the inside. So the experience of life is radically different, but maybe the manifestation of life looks very much the same. It may not. For instance, it's likely that after enlightenment, there's less emotional drama, is my imagining of it, because it's just it's not part of the inner dynamic to attract that kind of drama. So I'm wondering for you guys, I know you've had experiences, lots of us have had experiences with shifting identities or shifting our awareness, or moments of revelation or awakening. And I'm wondering for you, what's your experience been in this uh, process of going through releasing identities and re-emerging as something new, kind of like the phoenix from the ashes. But my guess is that every time the phoenix emerges from the ashes, it's a new version. It's Phoenix 2.0, so to speak. So I'm wondering what you think. Good morning, Dennis. Welcome. It's great to have you here. Very thirsty. So what do you think about this? What is your experience? Have you ever noticed that you felt a big change on the horizon and recoiled from it, just retreated from it out of fear of annihilation? Like, even if it was your sense of victimhood, even if it was maybe your feelings of depression, in the face, or maybe even if it was in the face of owning your passion and your power and your purpose, where there's this exhilaration of seeing this incredible possibility emerging before you, and then just retreating from it for fear of needing to be something new, something different, or fear of losing what you've known. Or, maybe there's also the fear of, well, if I make that change, then my whole life will have been wrong. All my beliefs will have been wrong. And I think that that's actually a really important thing to be looking at, because so much of our behavior is about justifying ourselves, either in the moment or justifying our history. So let's say if I were a scientist and I believed that, I believed a certain theory. I believed in my life, my whole life, I believed that the sun revolved around the earth. And then all of a sudden, I discovered that in fact, the earth revolves around the sun. What happens? Do I deny my discovery? Do I push it away because it means that my whole life, all the science that I did up until that moment, was wrong? So then I go to justify and validate something that I know to no longer be true, just because I am interpreting that shift as something that would invalidate my past experience, instead of something that is an evolution of my experience. Like, is my attachment to being right greater than my attachment to what's true? I think that that's a good question, even ow, Maggie, even in the face of even in the face of our own perceptions of ourselves and our beingness. So Rosalind says, I got depressed initially because after I let go of having biological kids, I wasn't sure what my purpose of life would be. This is a biggie, Rosalind. We've gone through this with you somewhat. And I totally can understand that when there's so much pressure. Yeah, I know you've spoken about pressure to have children. Um, there was a need to be something. I no longer operate from needing to do or be anything. Although I do have motivation to show up every day for a deeper experience and expand into greater awareness. Rosalind, that was absolutely magnificently spoken. Thank you so much for that. Because one of the fundamental paradigm shifts I personally believe humanity has to go through is to move away from this notion of a human doing where we have to do things to be worthy of life. I remember years ago, I had a friend who was talking about somebody else and said that that person's a waste of life. And I was just, you know, I, I, it took me aback, and even more so now is that we are all life expressing itself regardless of what we do or how we show up in the world. And the thing about letting go of having to do in terms of purpose, um, I think enables us to presence ourselves to the beingness, the connection with that purpose, and then the doingness just arises through inspiration. So I make a huge distinction between doing because we set objective external goals or objectives versus doing from a place of inspiration, which is a place of being. And making that shift is a radical shift. Again, chop wood, carry water. You know, it may look the same from the outside, but the experience of it from the inside is entirely different. And I notice that in the world, I tend to be doing more now as I'm moving from inspiration than I did before when I was setting goals. You know, because I always had so much resistance, and in this case, moving now from inspiration. And Lisa says, so just before I go to Lisa Roslin, I just want to say thank you and congratulations for moving into your wholeness and recognizing that having children isn't something that was going to, having biological kids isn't something that is going to make you whole or give your life purpose. That some people find great purpose in having children, but it isn't something that makes you more or less worthy as a human being, certainly. And I love that you said, I do have motivation to show up every day for a deeper experience and expand into greater awareness. And as we do that, our path opens into all kinds of possibilities. So good for you. That's brilliant and amazing. And congratulations. Lisa says, when my mom died in 1999, my life collapsed. We were best friends. I'm so sorry for your loss, Lisa. Um, I, my heart goes out to you. That lasted a few years, and then I became ill. because probably very much connected to that grief. In just in the last year and a half, have I just in the last year and a half have come back to life. I'm now a recovering victim, negative Nelly. More, I got the strength to end a 28-year marriage, and I'm starting over at 57. Wow. So this is just powerful, powerful, Lisa. This is the hero's journey. So more, I got the strength to end a 28-year marriage, and I'm starting over at 57, but I'm a warrior. And it's so nice to see the real me in the mirror again. Last year, I also had my awakening, which has helped me even more. What a story, Lisa. Wow. So when you say I'm now a recovering victim, I invite you, and negative Nelly, recovering from being a victim and negative Nelly, I'm guessing is what you're saying. So, but when you say I'm now a recovering victim, it's like validating that you're a victim. And the warrior or the heroine, hero, Shiro, uh, is a different frequency than a recovering victim, because as we say things like recovering victim, what are we validating, what are we emphasizing? That we are presencing the victim over and over and over. Now, I'm not saying that not to honor and have appreciation and gratitude for that person that suffered through the things that that person suffered through, but allow maybe yourself to release from the victim identity. So Lisa says, I also had a reading with Ellie Coyle at Ellie's Guiding Light. I have not heard of Ellie Coyle. My guides and family came in. It allowed me to totally release so many things I had been carrying. What a gift. That's so beautiful. I literally fell to my knees and wept. I then got up and emerged laughing. I left thousands of pounds on the side of the road. Wow. Beautiful, Lisa. What a wonderful, wonderful, amazing story. I would love to hear more about Ellie Coyle. Maybe I will check out and see what she's up to. Congratulations. So these are places where what you said, Lisa, about coming out onto the other side, and you, Rosalind, as well. You know, initially there's sort of a sense of depression in letting go of an identity, or maybe if it's not depression, it may be a sense of confusion, disorientation, certainly feeling uncomfortable, maybe being frightened because now what? Now who am I? Now what will I be? Who will I become? And I think, Lisa, you spoke it so well, is you fell to your knees weeping and then emerged laughing and left thousands of pounds by the side of the road. And I think that that's really what this awakening is all about. And it means facing our fear of disappearing, our fear of annihilation, because the thing that where that fear comes from is the false belief that we are our identities, you know, that we are a victim, that's who I am. Not that I have felt victimized in my life, but that I am in my beingness a victim. Not that I have felt depression, but that I am depression. I am depressed. I am you know, these are the distinctions that get to be made as we release these identities. You know, I'm an angry person, I am angry, like as a beingness, rather than I feel angry sometimes. You know, there's a difference between the experience and taking on the experience as an identity. So I am a fighter. I am a warrior. Even in those words that we often admire, what happens with being a fighter or a warrior is that there are fights and there are wars. And so, you know, I sometimes I feel I am ready and able to fight when I'm called to. You know, I am strong. I have strength. There's a difference between I am strong and I have strength. Because with I am strong, then strong is the identity. With I have strength, the I transcends the strength. Is any of this making sense? So I think what happens in as we awaken is I talk about holding our identities with open hand. We get to use the persona rather than it using us. We get to use the identity rather than it using us. So rather than being a victim, rather than having an identity as a victim or a survivor or a warrior or I don't know, those are the ones that are, or a victim. I guess I said that already. Then we get to recognize that who we are is the container that has all these experiences and is bigger, more expensive than all of these experiences. So Lisa says, Ellie Coyle's a wonderful woman in Ireland. She's accurate and gives incredible validation after validation. She does readings, shadow work, etc. Absolutely the real deal. It was the best investment in my future. I wasted so much money on shrinks, and this was so much more effective. Wow, Lisa, what a wonderful testimonial. Maybe you can share that with her. Thank you, Robert, who says that was interestingly put. Yeah, I think that enlightenment can come in a flash. Oh, I realize I have to go. I'm sorry, I have an appointment that I forgot about. So much love to you all. This is I'm Mira Rubin. This is the Core Connection, and I go live each weekday morning at 9 a.m. Eastern. It is such a privilege to be with you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And I look forward to being with you again